So, do you know how many people are stuck in functional freeze and don't even realize it? I used to be one of these people. I was stuck in a functional freeze hellhole for about 18 months. And what this looked like for me was constant procrastination, being glued to my phone, spinning out anytime I tried to get any work done, overthinking everything, and then drowning in shame every night for not getting the things done that I said I was going to get done for that day yet again. But functional freeze doesn't always look like this. Sometimes it can look like you are killing it at work, but you are completely numb on the inside. Or it can also look like you were just floating through life, disconnected, checked out. It's almost like you're watching your life from the sidelines. So I'm Andrea Ashley. I'm the host of the podcast Adult Child, and I've created this series because I know how lonely and confusing it can be to be living in a freeze state where you are functioning, but you're not really living. So, in this video, we are going to be breaking down the first of the many phases of functional freeze, a phase that I know a little too well, all too well, and that is the stuck and shame filled overthinker. But before I do that, I just want to talk about what functional freeze actually is and how it hijacks our lives without us even knowing about it, okay? So, functional freeze is a trauma response that is often associated with complex PTSD. It is a version of the classic freeze response, but instead of a total shutdown, it is what happens when you just keep doing enough to appear like you are functioning on the outside while your body is stuck in a low grade survival state on the inside. So the state occurs when our nervous system no longer feels safe enough to keep pushing forward and doesn't see fighting, fleeing, or fawning as viable options anymore. So it shifts into a shutdown mode as a way to conserve energy and protect you. Now, for some, freeze started in childhood. This was a trauma response that you used in your upbringing. But for others, especially those of us who fought or fled or fawned their way through dysfunctional dynamics, freeze can show up much later on in life after years of running on survival mode. So now let's break down one of the most common phases of functional freeze, which is my breed of functional freeze, and that is the stuck in shame overthinker. So, this is the flavor of functional freeze that hits the hardest for high achievers who know what they need to do, but just can't seem to do it. Anyone. You wake up with a to do list. You tell yourself, today is going to be the day where I get my shit together. But the hours pass and you're still staring at that email that you never got sent, that laundry list that never got loaded, that laundry list, that laundry load that never got started, and that big dream that just feels too heavy to touch. You scroll, you overthink, you spiral, and at the end of the day, you are drowning in shame, wondering, what is wrong with me? Listen, you're not lazy, you're not broken. And that stuckness, it's not a mindset issue. It is your nervous system waving a white flag. This version of freeze is quiet, it's sneaky. You might be functioning just enough that to the outside world, they won't notice. But in the inside, you feel like you are a hamster spinning on a wheel. You are mentally exhausted. You are emotionally numb. And you are absolutely paralyzed. And so, whether it is finishing a task or making a phone call or taking the next step on something that you actually want, the moment that you try to act, it is like your brain hits a wall. And what makes it worse is that you are aware of it. You want to change, but your body isn't cooperating. So let me tell you what functional freeze looked like for me in real time. So most days, I'd start off fully intending to be productive. I had my mental to do list, I had my goals, I had everything mapped out. And then I'd sit down on the couch, open my phone, and get glued to my screen, sometimes for hours. Candy Crush became a beautiful, full blown addiction. Like, embarrassingly so, folks, embarrassingly so. And eventually, I'd try to start working, but my brain would just spin. I'd overthink everything. I'd jump between tasks, and I would get almost absolutely nothing done. And the more frustrated I got with myself, the more dysregulated I became. And some days I'd get a little burst of motivation, of energy towards the evening, the end of the day, and I'd try to cram in as much work as I possibly could. But my brain doesn't work like that. What I've learned about myself is that my brain functions best, earlier in the day. And so pushing through at night just left me feeling even more defeated and depleted. And so then it would hit me, the wave of panic, of shame that I experienced at least once a day for about 18 months. It was like a punch in the gut. Another day where I didn't do what I said I was going to do. Another day where I felt like I was failing at life. I'd spiral and start thinking, what the hell is wrong with me? Why can't I just do the things? But now I understand that there wasn't something wrong with me, that my nervous system was stuck in survival mode. So, where does this pattern come from for this particular breed face of functional freeze? Now, for many of us, this freeze state did not start in adulthood. It was wired into us during childhood. So maybe you were the scapegoat of your family, like me. Maybe you were the one who got labeled the problem, too sensitive or too dramatic, or maybe you were the identified patient, like me, the kid that was sent to therapy while the rest of the family avoided accountability like the plague. You might have been made to feel like you were a burden, that expressing emotion would only lead to punishment, to ridicule, to rejection. And so you shut it all down. A lot of us grew up with caregivers who were unpredictable, warm one moment, cold or explosive the next. This kind of inconsistency keeps a child in a chronic state of hypervigilance. You walk on eggshells. You learn to freeze not because you are lazy, but because moving started to feel dangerous. And so over time, this creates a nervous system that equates action with risk, not consciously, but deep down, movement starts to feel like a setup for failure, shame, or abandonment. So you don't move, you stay stuck. Then you shame yourself for it, repeating the same painful loop over and over and over and over. And here is the most frustrating part. You want to do the thing. You want to do the thing. You know what needs to get done. You might even feel that spark of motivation. But then, nothing. Your body doesn't move. Your brain short circuits. You're frozen. And then the shame rushes in. Why can't I just do it? What the heck is wrong with me? This is the part that hurts the most because it feels like self-betrayal. It feels like self-betrayal, but it's not. It is your nervous system doing what it needs to do to keep you safe. So how do we get out of this, folks? What the heck do we do about this? For me, it wasn't mindset hacks. It wasn't forcing myself to be more disciplined. I mean, I tried all of that and it didn't work. It didn't work. What finally helped me to start thawing out was somatic healing, daily breath work, nervous system regulation, learning how to connect with my body instead of constantly fighting it. That's when things really started to shift for me. Not all at once, I want to emphasize, not all at once, but slowly and steadily, I started to feel again and move again and live again. But here's the thing, the first step, folks, is recognizing that you are in it, naming the freeze state, understanding that this is not a personality flaw. It is a nervous system response. That alone starts to break the shame, folks. That alone. You cannot heal what you do not know. And now you know. Now you know. So if you are stuck in this loop right now, I just want you to hear this. Well, first, I want you to know that I see you, I feel you, I know you, I was you. You're not lazy, you're not the problem. You are in a trauma response, and there is a way through it. And this, my friends, this is just one of the faces of functional freeze. So in the next video, we are going to be diving into another one that is way more socially acceptable, but just as sneaky. And that is the over functioning fixer. You do not want to miss this.